Gold hammer shotgun. Gold hammer shotgun.
If you've been watching the action over the last month, in fact, if you've been watching Fortnite over the past few years, Mini Miner, when was your first broadcast on FNCS?
It was Chapter 3, Season 2, so nearly 2 years ago now. So I've been around for a little while. Evan, you've been around a little longer there, haven't you? A bit more.
Yeah. I think Chapter 2, Season 5 was my first. I've been here the longest other than MDF, really. So yeah, I'm an old head in the game now.
You're not an old head. You're about to turn 22. But you're a mere teenager when you join the broadcast team. So it's been an absolute privilege to see you grow up. We're not going to talk about my age. Although my first one was a year ago now, and it was such a memorable final, so I'm hoping we're going to make some memories today. And speaking of a walk down memory lane, can we talk about comebacks, Levin?
Wait.
Yes, I think it's really important to talk about comebacks, right? Because today's a bit different.
Well, I was going to say that list, right? Season 2, that was absolutely crazy, and that was actually my first season. So we're talking about first season on the broadcast. That was my first season on the broadcast. I was like, Hen and Queasy, these guys came from 41st all the way to 8th. And the reason I want to bring that up is because Hen, in the same sort of situation today, 28th on the leaderboard, a little bit further down. So could we see a little bit more of a comeback from these guys today? I certainly hope so.
I think the potential's there. If you know anything about Hen as a player, he's always been, well, he says it in his name, max damage, right? You know, he's a high output player who has that ability. And you know, obviously he's been in situations like this before, not just, you know, in that one FNCS. You know, he's been there so many times where he's had to make a big comeback happen. He did it at the Invitational, a couple years ago now. And so he knows what it takes. He knows how to react to a bad day. And the thing when you look at their games yesterday, Mini, is that, you know, it wasn't necessarily the best of days, but there's something there to work with. There's a platform to build off of where they were able to make some deep runs off the back of some Hen clutches nonetheless. So if they can keep making it deep into these games, but maybe, you know, do a bit more max damage like Hen likes to do and get a couple more eliminations, they could be well on their way to a big comeback today.
Yeah, his name's Max Damage Hen, but we didn't see too much from them yesterday. It wasn't quite a day where maybe you were used to seeing Hen. If you were quite an OG Fortnite viewer, you expect Hen to be jumping in blocks and stuff. They only actually managed to average 1 elimination per game in that day yesterday. Only 7 other teams had less than that. So although they're in a good position, they need to ramp up those elims.
I think someone also needs to have a word with Hen because his name is Max Damage Hen 75. But actually, don't you need to damage someone 200 to eliminate them in this game? Anyway, that's another question for another time. Maybe we'll get to ask Hen at some point. Maybe he'll raise the active champions and he can tell us once and for all why 75. Now, there's another duo who is known for a comeback, whether that's over the course of a tournament or just jumping up the leaderboard. And that is Seti and Cammy Levin.
Yeah, absolutely. Seti and Cammy, an interesting day. Many people came into this weekend with Seti and Cammy in their top 5, some even in their top 3, a lot in their top 3 actually. And of course you would, Minnie, it's Seti and Cammy. They always seem to do well. They've been one of the few teams this season that have had some semblance of consistency. And so they look like nailed on to be a team that does incredibly well. And it hasn't been that day for them in day 1. And so, a lot of eyes are going to be on them to see how they react here in day 2.
Yeah, a lot of Cammy and Seti's problems over the years have been when they're contested. Yesterday, not contested, a completely uncontested drop spot at a drop spot they know well. A lot of people would have expected them to do better, and a lot of the time it was just down to solo clutches. We saw one of them going down. They had good surge as well. It was often just other teams that were causing them problems because they needed to adapt to these new storm surge changes. So it's not necessarily things that they were doing wrong. Maybe they haven't necessarily developed as strong of a game plan as we've seen from these guys in the past, but I think today it's going to be all about making sure they make it to that end game together as a duo, because we know what we can expect from this team. It's just been a little bit disjointed so far this weekend. They need to ramp it up if they want to find some success today.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like in general, a lot of teams have struggled to find like a really nailed on game plan in comparison to other seasons. As a whole, there's a bunch of teams I've spoken to who have said they felt that same problem. I feel like it's less of the actual game plan, sometimes a bit of the execution. Like you're saying, they're getting in a lot of situations that are typical of Cammy and Seti, but they aren't able to deal with some of the aggression from a lot of the teams around them, right? And that's causing them issues. So hopefully today, they get their firing boots on and they can start hitting a couple more shots and perform how we expect them. Them to perform.
Yeah, I don't, but maybe.
Yeah, and neither did I, and neither did a lot of people, I think. It was a great first game victory from those guys. And of course, us on the desk, a lot of people at home would have been surprised at the fact that they were actually able to get that VR. I think for me, it was just, was that going to be the end of their day? Was that going to be their moment in the spotlight? And it wasn't. They continued to be quite consistent the rest of the games. And to find yourself in 10th place here, 11, it's not bad at all. Because we often see teams that have a good first game, maybe lesser known teams, they get a little bit too excited and get a rush of blood, and then things start to go worse. But it hasn't happened for them.
Yeah, no, as we established earlier, I've done a lot of these FNCSs now, and we see teams do that all the time, but these guys have stuck at it. And to be the team, a team who, came up through the lower bracket, they were actually the team that won the last game of lower bracket round 3. So technically, when it comes to FNCSs, they actually won back-to-back games, if you want to get a bit fancy with it. But these guys have stuck there. We'll see how they do. Obviously, landing towards the north of the map, they're sort of around, the likes of Eclipse and Dexy, Queasy and Thomas, that sort of fight at Lavish Lair was one that they were doing a great job of sort of third party in at times, right, and trying to get surge there. So definitely an interesting team, but honestly, man, I think the team everybody's eyes have been on, Verdil and Reason up in first place. I mean, talk of surprises, I definitely did not expect to see them there, Minnie.
Yeah, I didn't either. Even on socials, I was looking. Verdil said, I don't know how I'm in first, but we're in first. We're here and we're ready to go. It was an interesting day for them yesterday. They didn't have any massive pop-off games, right? We didn't see a massive victory out from them. We didn't see a victory out from them at all, but they were really solid in their game plan. They didn't have a single game where they had no points. They always got into that placement points. They always had some eliminations as well. And just the way that they were playing was really, really nice. They had these new storm surge changes, needing all of that damage, being proficient at getting that damage done early by fighting other teams is clearly working out for them.
I want to see the leaderboard again, because I want to see the competition for Verdil and Reason. Verdil and Reason didn't get a victory royale yesterday, but they are so consistent in those fights in particular, as well as getting to that end game, that they have really blown away a lot of the competition. However, Venno and Tayson. When I see these guys already in second place, I just feel like it's inevitable, Levin.
Yeah, I mean, look, I sort of said yesterday I thought they were going to win FNCS, and because I just think they're so great. They didn't start the day great yesterday. The first 3 games were a bit, forgettable for Venno and Tayson, but after that third game, they definitely locked in. They were struggling with sort of the early surge, and to be fair to them, everybody was struggling with early surge. Like, if you can tell me, really good teams that weren't struggling with early surge, it'll be hard to come by. But then once they sort of understood the assignment, Venno did what Venno does, right? Venno was tied for the most snipes yesterday, right? With 11, he was spamming that sniper rifle. Tayson was setting them up to play for high ground a lot more, which was part of the friction they were having as a team earlier in the season, Mini. And so to see them actually being able to get in these positions more, Venno definitely rewarded Tayson by then, putting up excellent performances in these types of positions. That win there as well that he got was so clutch, right? Came down to literally half a second. So these guys are looking very strong. They have momentum now, and that's a scary prospect for anyone that wants to even think about holding the Axe of Champions.
Yeah, I was really impressed with this team yesterday. The way they changed their strategy on the fly, they were looking towards that east side of the map for their surge tags. They went more west when it wasn't working out, try to fight a little bit more early game, which we highlighted yesterday. They're very good at. And they're one of those teams that, of course, are doing the damage in late game as well. They're always in that top 3 in those final 5 zones in terms of damage dealt. So it seems like they're really fragging out when it comes to that side of things. I mean, Venno, of course, what a sniper as well. We have to talk about how good he is at that. Thomas HD, he was getting kind of overthrown here in terms of the sniping king, and I'm interested to see how this goes today, because a lot of their damage when it comes to the surge for Venno and Tayson 11 came from Venno's snipes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I made a bold claim yesterday that I said, I think he might be the best sniper in EU, and I'm sure a lot of the Danish people who used to like me, definitely weren't a fan of me saying that, but Thomas obviously was keeping up with the snipes. Some of the snipes Thomas was hitting yesterday were ridiculous on height. Unfortunately, Venno was definitely trying to match him up there. They're both tied for 11 shots so far, so we'll see at the end of the day who's coming out on top. But ultimately, when it comes to Thomas and Queasy, these guys, I mean, a lot of people were worried about them, Mini. They thought, look, they're contested off spawn by Cringe and Noms. I don't know how that's going to play out for them. Are they going to get to play 12 out of 12 games? And most people thought no. And so that would mean, they probably won't be as good as what we could expect from them, but they're not letting that affect them. I think the experience is really coming through from this team. They're not going to let some team come through and roll them over or spawn. They're going to show us what they can do, and they've done that so well. Thomas on these mid-ground layers with the mythic shotgun, oh my goodness, it was filthy, some of the things he was doing yesterday.
It was absolutely insane. I think being contested has actually benefited this team. They only went down off spawn twice yesterday, and they're a team that have just been able to make it to the end game when they do make it off spawn in a really good way. I was looking back at their games as well. They played a game on low ground, a game on mid ground, and a game on heights. They seem to be able to do it all.
This time last year, boys, we got to witness one of the great showdowns in a major. It was Thomas and Malabuka versus Tayson and Murstache. There was about 1 point separating these two at the top of the chart. 1 point separating Thomas and Malabuka from the Axe of Champions, because Murstache and Tayson were the one to take it. And this duo, Murstache and Malabuka, I mean, personally, Minnie, it's my dream team.
Yeah, I think this is a duo that really are looking good right now. They're making good end games, of course. We know this duo are all about getting end games and making the most of it, and they did do that very well. Back-to-back second places for those guys. I think the problems that they had yesterday, the reason why they're not in first place was because they were taking risks. Around 7th zone, they were going for a big refresh, even though they didn't necessarily need the surge or even the refresh itself. They take these big risks in these fights, and then sometimes, of course, that doesn't quite work out for them. What I do like, though, they're making it to these end games. They're making their consistency, which is something that we haven't seen from them all the time, right, Levin? We've seen them have really good times off spawn and then sometimes really bad times off spawn. So it's nice to see them generating a little bit of consistency, even though the zones were kind of in their favor yesterday. So maybe that's a question mark for today. Will they have that same success?
I mean, if you want to roll back the years and look at FNCSs of the past, Malabuka and Murstache were always a team that was getting a bunch of eliminations, but could never, get, top 5 type of games. They'd get to an end game and that'd be it. Now they're able to do that, right? The back-to-back second places from Malabuka showed a bit of nous, a bit of more experience. And so if they can start pairing that together with, higher limb games, yeah, they'll be rising for sure.
We have mentioned the Axe of Champions, but let's take a look at the prize pot. How much could our duos be taking home tonight? 170,000 to the top place duo. Life-changing money. And that's not all they would take, Mini Miner.
No, it's not. First and second place today will be getting their tickets to the Global Championships later on this year. So, of course, EU has 2 spots for that this season, and I think a lot of players will be keeping their eyes on that. The prize money is amazing as well, of course, 85k each. That's not too bad.
When someone mentions Global Championships, I get chills, boys. I just think of these duos on stage playing out of their minds and making their dreams come true. And you know what? After today, some of these duos will be a step closer to raising the Axe of Champions on LAN. Day 2 of the grand finals starts now.
What makes a champion? A champion is someone who ain't afraid of the big stage. A champion is someone who stands tall against any opposition. A champion is someone who can do it not once, not twice, but 5 times. A champion isn't someone who never fails, but someone who never quits. A champion has an edge. They have ice in their veins, they can't be cracked. A champion is someone who can step away from the battle bus for 2 years and come back like they never left. Champions innovate, champions inspire, champions conquer the world. Again and again and again. Champions can do it when the lights are the brightest, and they can come from the shadows when you least expect it. Champions come from far and wide to show you how great they are. A champion's journey begins long before a title is won. But the grand finals is the road all champions must take to reach their destination. This is the place where they make it known. Are you ready? This is where champions are crowned.
The time has come. The finale, day 2 of the EU FNCS Grand Finals. And today, Takata, we crown ourselves a champion. Over $800,000 to be won, and the coveted spot at the Global Championship later this year. There is so much at stake today.
Every single player in the top 4 are running for the title of the best player in EU. All 8 players competed in the Global Championships. All 8 players had at least one top 5 FNCS finals finish last season, and we're starting off strong. Lavish Layer, a battle continuing from yesterday. Thomas HD, Queasy, can they take it today?
Yeah, one thing I noticed about this fight yesterday is cringe. He was kind of struggling in these off spawns, and it wasn't necessarily because of Thomas and Queasy. 2 different games down to fall damage trying to grab one of those weapons at the top, which kind of made it easy for Queasy and Thomas to roll over. And I think this time they're taking more of a passive approach going against Thomas and Queasy. You see them disengaging out of the main building of Lavish Layer altogether, moving towards the south. There's vending machine, there is loot down there, but you're kind of giving up the priority position to Queasy and Thomas very, very early on.
Yeah, we mentioned this earlier, but when playing Lavish Layer, you want to land at the top of the building. It secures the best position for this early engagement, but also maximizes your efficiency in terms of the loot path. So seeing that Thomas and Queasy won the drop, their opponents are gonna disengage. Noms Cringe are not trying to risk it all, especially in the first game of day 2. We talked about it earlier, but as a reminder, the points are multiplied by 1.5. It's 6 points per elimination. The bat allowing him to get some pressure in.
Yeah, he's trying to help Pings and alleviate some of that pressure. Luckily, he did just enough damage. Ping's able to survive with just 1 HP and a dream, and you can kind of hear the crash pads coming out. Kind of leaves no choice but to disengage, especially from a fight happening this early. Starting on top of the mountain, you got to imagine there's no materials to really continue this battle. So for Mixon and Pings, specifically Pings, he's going to be able to escape and fight another day. And those points are so valuable because you can already see that 1 elimination, 6 points already out of the gates for them.
There's a lot of thin ice on this mountain. Not a lot of natural cover. But take a look at this, Jacob. The battle of the ages, it seems like now. Pink Vico up against Kiro and Kiduo for that forecast tower. And with the 2 elims on the board for Kiduo and Kiro. You know what, let's actually just take a look at what happened, Jacob.
Yeah, yesterday, this was something that's been going on almost 6 out of 6 games between these two teams. And just unfortunately enough, Vico go down first. Pink just gets sandwiched between both of those players, Kiro and Kiduo. Does look like they're going to be able to get that forecast tower in this game in an early hot start between that off-spawn exchange. And with the 1.5 points they get this time around, they can easily start to close the gap between them and the rest of the competition.
That's 12 points, Jacob. 2 eliminations off the bat like that, instantly granting you 12 points is a huge change for the leaderboard. We saw here, Thomas and Queasy. Looks like it was actually Noms and Cringe who built on top.
Somebody that isn't necessarily putting his all. Well, guess what? Tayson's just a prime time player. He shows up when it matters, and all of his experience throughout the last couple years kind of leads him to be one of the star players. Of course, those 5 FNCS championships kind of helps along the way, and then him and Veno combining. Every single time I see them take the stage, they're just getting better each and every single moment.
Yeah, and if Tayson's able to get his 6th here, it's going to tie him for the most overall FNCS titles across all regions, alongside Mero, Epic Whale, and Arkram, which are all NA-based players.
Very impressive. List the names. The accolade alone, even if the names aren't that impressive, is just massive in its own right. Yanis Flixie, uncontested with Reckless Railways. Not too much change going on for them on that side of the map. But this one, this is the fight that more times than not ends up with a winner, even with a third party coming in. Thomas dealing most of the damage, but he gets sandwiched 2v1. They're almost stuck in a box. He's able to escape narrowly to try to live, but Queasy's there trying to alleviate the pressure, follow up on that damage that he laid down to begin with. Good job. Another shot's could be landed, but instead of going full focus into that fight, you see him doing just enough to allow Thomas and him to disengage and heal up.
Only shields they have are, well, is that Flowberry Fizz. They're even aware that there are more duos in the surrounding area. They've got a bit of damage. They don't need the eliminations based on the risk that it's going to include. So they will back off here, continue farming up, continue looting, but it looks like another forecast battle. Henski walks Pixie. Nobody with a clear advantage yet.
I feel like you could tell teams yesterday hit the VODs after the day was done. More times than not, Hem and Vasquez were able to get this uncontested, giving them a huge advantage with the forecast tower. Somebody else, I think, was able to grab it. Pixie and Walks possibly, as Hen was kind of down there by himself. Vasquez was separated, so you got to imagine the forecast tower going over to Walks and Pixie. And so that kind of leaves a choice. Do you stay? Do you continue to fight this fight, especially since zone is now going to force you in, or do you just try to disengage on out? You can't get what you came for, and so you got to kind of move on with the show.
You can see the duos already on the edge of the zone, kind of on the mini map at the bottom right. You can see they're facing the players here at the forecast tower, kind of waiting for something to happen, whether it be them rotating back in zone or anything that opens up an option to take a few shots. They do have a few ridges, that natural environment to use as cover, so they are going to be protected. But forecast tower has been given up. Medallion traded.
All right, got 3 of the forecast towers to kind of grab. Walks Pixie gets 1. Kiro Kuduo gets the other. So both of these teams are going to have the element of being able to see the next zone before the previous one does close. So they're going to have an advantage in terms of positioning. There's definitely so many other intricacies into the game. Storm Surge, extra loot, materials that you need to get. So sometimes you can't just beeline it.
Looking at Vidil and Reason. Reason has been in this position before. First place after day 1 in an FNCS finals. But after day 2, he wasn't able to hold on to it. So we'll see if history can be changed today. For Tini and Misha, though, 2 quick elims on the board. 12 points. They're in the zone, but being the second one, Storm is not going to be dealing enough damage yet for it to be too much danger, so they can farm up and make their way back in.
Yeah, the blessing is they were able to get those 2 eliminations. Even with how drastic Storm Surge has been with, sometimes we're seeing 12, 15 people that need to go down before it deactivates. Getting that early surge is so important, but you gotta be able to keep the flow going throughout the course of the game. Even if the first couple of zones you're ahead of surge, we've seen teams fall behind at a moment's notice. As you jump on board, Vortexers and Voco, a team that I've been seeing progress and get better and better each and every season that they partake, and even got their first FNCS Finals win yesterday in a set lobby, so they're already on an upward trajectory, and they're already trying to third-party another fight for some cheeky surge opportunities.
Can they make it their second, Jacob? Is what I'm wondering. Boxed up in a nice position to kind of take shots on these engagements, and look at this. 2 of our top 4 duos right now. Malabuka, Merstash, Vadil Reason. It would be scary to see these 2 duos go into a full-out engagement so early on, but it looks like they're just looking for damage. Just Tayson and Veno, though, in a bit more of a risky situation. If you look at Veno's HP, he is healing up. It's Diox, it's Cade. They're the ones boxed up below.
Yeah, and throughout the course of the day yesterday, Tayson, Veno, they weren't scared to go in third-party forecast towers. They weren't scared to go in, but a nice opportunity from Diox trying to go ahead and take piece control, box up Tayson. Unfortunate enough, he was able to slither on out of there and find himself a crevice to peek through. Veno finally joins the fight after finally healing up. And what they're going after now is those combat caches. Third zone, combat caches spawning around the map, and 2 teams are going to be granted that combat cache, and this is what happens when they go ahead and try to fight for it.
So far, just looking for that big shot. Tayson with the epic hammer pump can deal an incredible amount of damage if he's able to connect the headshot. But they don't want to put themselves in too much of a risky situation, especially without already having the upper hand on this battle. So as they try and replace walls and try and find angles, it's more just like a back and forth game of ping pong between these 2 duos.
And rightfully so, Cade and Diox were actually playing pretty well to start the day off yesterday. Even at one point, sharing first place on that leaderboard before kind of hit some speed bumps in the road. But Tayson and Veno, they're going to disengage on out, kind of leaving what's left of that weapon cache on over to Cade and Diox. It's going to help their game out, help Metal that they were able to gab, because they land over towards fencing fields, and with so many teams, 3 contested teams on that side of the map, you can kind of see that there might not be too many opportunities to grab Metal, which is the hardest resource to gather.
You can see a lot of the duos here kind of surrounding the forecast tower that Pink and Vico and Kiro and Kiduo have been battling against almost all season long. But with the fight having ended so early on, there's nothing really to third party. Looks like Thomas and Queasy, though, are going to get a free combat cache. Nobody contesting it, even pulling the 4th zone here. They are a bit at the edge of it up north, so it would be nice to rotate a bit more centered, but they've got the extra loot, they've got the extra metal, and now they're free to continue with their rotate.
Yeah, this is, I wouldn't say interesting season, but this is one of those seasons to where you have so many different teams fighting for history, fighting for bragging rights on their own mind. If you look at this team right here, Queasy and Thomas, this would have been, if they do win, Thomas's first FNCS title, even though he's been so close so many times. But the impressive thing is actually going to be on the other side with Queasy. This will not only be his 4th FNCS title, but this will have been his 3rd duos championship, and every single time, Takata, it's with a different teammate. That just goes to show how impressive Queasy is and what he's able to do with his duos, no matter who it is by his side.
And each of those duos that Queasy was paired up with, it was their first FNCS win, including Thomas's if he's able to get it. I mean, you talked about his consistency. He has the most top 10 finishes in the world, not in EU, in the world, for FNCS finals at 14 top 10s, 10 top 5s, and 7 top 3s, but he's yet to win and FNCS. So this could be history for Thomas HD. Venno Tayson now looking like they've secured the Rift Island. Venno, FNCS title to his name, his third title. It could help him round out his kind of resume as a Fortnite competitor. Giraz Chari now 247 above the Storm Surge threshold. We've seen how dominant, how prevalent Storm Surge has been, especially in these grand finals with the amount of experience that's in this lobby. So seeing them already 200 above in this fourth zone, using that lock-on pistol, it's a great position to be in.
And their team, particularly in this zone, they do find a lot of damage. I think they're ranked 5th in zone 4 when it comes to overall damage dealt throughout the past couple games. But Thomas with the crash pad, they didn't even hear it coming. Oh no, I cannot believe Thomas does it again. Queasy's just there watching that one go down. And Queasy has to just be smiling ear to ear. Yeah, that's my duo. He just did that. They had no idea.
Are you kidding me? Caught them with their pants down. They didn't even know where they were in the bush, looking lost. Quick 2 eliminations. I mean, that is a incredibly powerful way to start off game 1.
That's just one of those moments where, like, you know that thing could probably happen. You know you could get launch stand, but you never expect in a million years. Bevy's trying to fight back. Pressure coming in. Pablo's going to be stuck by himself, but he has the HP. Even a knock, a trade on the other side. So it's going to come down to a 1v1. He returns back. He's trying to go ahead and get revenge for Bevy's, who went down, and he has a huge damage lead, and he's continuing to push himself further and further up that mountain. Finally gets the elimination to save the day, and they're really trying to reunite the momentum in which they started off the day yesterday. They even got a VR. If they can mix that up in here today, Takata, they'll be well on their way to the top of the leaderboard.
Look, all these brawls are ending incredibly fast today. I mean, there's a lot of staggered kind of engagements, but they haven't really ended in eliminations. The ones that have ended in eliminations have, it's been in an instant, literally, from Thomas jumping in the bush to now Pablo finishing it off quickly. Merstash Malabuka, on the other hand, no eliminations to their name yet, but with the position they're in, the loot, the materials, the consumables, they have everything to make something happen.
And all they need is a chance. I think Malabuka has taught us that by himself. Just need a chance to get back into the game. He can make wonders happen. Merstash might have the record with least amount of game time actually played with a victory royale in Malabuka's impressive run to qualify to the grand finals. It's not an accolade most people even have a chance to get, because Bevy's going to get a chance to get back into the game. Him and Pablo got a second chance at life, and they're 200 above the damage threshold. So very, very little to worry about outside of rotating the zone.
Taking a look here, I'm trying to see, as we get closer and closer, how many duos are already based up inside of the zone. It's a significant amount, as they're looking around to see now that, you know, the Storm Surge threshold is appeared on the screen. They know whether they need damage or not, as Pablo connecting those shots with the lock-on pistol and now making his way in. Bevy's, though, being so low, you know it's gonna be a deciding factor if they're able to group back together.
Reason and Vidil, 77 above. Slowly bouncing around that Storm Surge threshold. Pretty consistent overall on day 1. Gave themselves a nice little cushion up until that last game where they did go down just a little bit earlier than they'd hoped. And you can see even with Storm Surge kind of showing itself, they're not too worried about it. These guys have experienced almost everything when it comes to Fortnite and more. They know how to deal with the pressure. And they know that they don't need to make any risky plays to try to rotate. It does look like they're just trying to together some extra small fry, any HP heals. And then they have the choice to grapple blade to the zone or maybe even find a rift that is left over from Loot Island.
That is one of the most important factors of this mid-game. It's making use of the natural mobility from Rift Island. If you're close by, duos basing up on the rifts that spawn on the ground surrounding it. Even the launch pads like Tayson and Benno are using on the Rift Island. But it also causes this kind of moment in the game where there's so many duos flying through the skies, and the ones down below already boxed up will take that opportunity to take shots and hopefully connect on some of the birds flying through the air.
It's literally almost half the lobby right now just using a rift, and everybody kind of knows at this stage that the zone does pull away from Rift Island, but those rifts just make it so worth it, especially if you're able to grab a forecast tower. Vidil down on Surge, only needs 13, but looking to grab that much more. Astral's gonna be in his line of sights, but it's Vidil and Reason who go down early in game one without any placement points.
Our number one duo going into the day, eliminated before the late game even starts. 318 points is gonna be what they're stuck at for the first match of day two. Even with the point multiplier, we know the leaderboard is going to change. Benno Tayson taking shots, but they're more than healthy enough, 320 above.
Yeah, from this stage right now, they don't really have to do anything, make any risky plays except for go to zone, but you know as well as I do, these guys know not only how to take opportunities, but they know how to create them as well, as they're just trying to eye every single person here on their rotation path. So that way they can figure out which way they do want to go to try to get that slow side of the zone. Most of the lobby is stacked up in the middle if they were just trying to beeline it to zone. So that right side, the eastern portion, especially when you go more towards the north, is going to be pretty open if you can sneak your way through.
Pablo with 3 elims already. Bevies with 1. Let's see how he picked up the other 2. Looks like it was Hen. Caught off guard from the back as pressure was being applied from the surrounding duos. Finishing off Ski as well there. And that's a huge refresh, especially seeing that he was able to pick up Bevies.
Hey, Bevies and Pablo, you give them a chance to play. They're pretty consistent if they can get things going. I feel like the only weakness is kind of biting off more than they can chew in certain situations in those off-spawn contested fights. But you can see first place is down. Huge opportunity for Benno Tayson and everybody else on the leaderboard to move on up, especially with the 1.5 points. You get 100 for the victory out, 6 points per elimination. Everything else in between is 25 teams still left alive. Finally, placement points are starting to get granted and will cascade with every team that drops.
26 above now for Mixing Ping. Pressure gets on as Merstash Malabuka. 160 above, but it's going to be Yanis and Flixie that go down. Merstash picking up that extra loot already with the mythic loot, already with the medallions now. This duo looking like they are strong competitors for this first match in the second day of Grand Finals.
Yeah, they caught fire on the second half of the day yesterday. And Malabuka, even though he hasn't necessarily been on top of the mountain winning FNCS championships, for the past couple of years, he's been probably one of the most dominant individual players in the entire region, especially when it comes to average placement overall. Teamed up with Merstash not too long ago, but this is their chance to reunite and finally get that Axe of Champions.
Yeah, you talk about dominant players. I mean, his duo, Merstash, had the most individual eliminations in day one at 22. Wow. So that combination is a lethal threat in this lobby. But I'm looking at lethal threats. I see Benno Tayson right beside them. Rotates come through now. 8th zone does appear. A long rotation for a lot of these players. As Storm Surge starts ticking, the pressure is on.
Yep, Benno Tayson, they're feeling right time to rotate towards the front side of the zone. You take notice, they're going to stay away from that ultimate low ground. They'll always try to find some layer that they can hang on to and an opportunity to go to the front side. He's trying to save Tayson. He gets the body through the box, but he is still knocked, and that team is still on the other side trying to break their way through, and there's even a threat at the bottom, but I think Benno has been done enough to buy the time to get an opportunity at the very minimum to get Tayson back. But you see the just in case, he's dropping the mats to give it extra on over to Benno, just in case he does have to abandon the play. But even trading shots back and forth, Benno is not scared and he won't back down.
He needs to keep holding here. He has to keep expanding to get that space if he wants to pick up Tayson. But as the pressure gets too high, Benno gets taken out. Meanwhile, Eclipse, Dexy up above on top of the Lavish layer, looking to hold on to height.
First and second place are now down just at the beginning of placement points. Malabuka, Merstash, this is your shot. Queasy, Thomas, those are our third and fourth place teams, as Pablo still doing work here against Pixie and Walks. Gets the knock onto one. Actually, a little bit of help from the other side, but he's going to want that gets all the spoils, all the loot for himself.
Little assists from his opponents, but the presents are his as he begins his rotate now. Grapple blade in hand, 58 builds to work with. Does have medkits as well in case he has to stay in the zone to adjust his rotation. Volko Vortex was close by. The pressure from above is continuing as Queasy and Thomas now begin to rotate.
Yep. Barely above that damage threshold, but they know it's not too much of a worry with the strategies they have. Go to the front side. Those would be the opportunities to look back. And I think Queasy and Thomas are doing a good job of finding those open holes here through this end game. You can even see Flowberry Fizz coming out, just trying to top off the shields. Thomas still moving forward in the zone as well.
We know how much Queasy loves or has loved playing high ground in the past, which is why I love seeing this duo play closer to second height. But there's so much elevation between second and ultimate high ground currently that they have to find that right opportunity to strike, to chop them down and go for it. Meanwhile, down in the dirt, Merstash Malabuka, 3 medkits, looking like they could potentially have that win condition.
Yeah, great use of the Flowbear, and they immediately go to the front side of zone as Thomas, Queasy, they're just trying to go and stay off of that bottom layer. No high ground take just yet. They aren't healthy enough to make that a possibility. Merstash finds elimination on Decade. Pablo getting stuffed backside of zone. Impressive run as a solo, Takata. They started the game in 5th place, and this is a way to keep your position on the leaderboard intact.
See, Pablo is clutching so many points. 2 medkits in hand as he's going to play the heal off here. Meanwhile, he plans, what's the rotation? Where's the impact? Where's the refresh that I can get here as he starts walking closer and closer? There's Queasy close by. Nate right beside him. That's not your duo partner, Pablo. That's an enemy.
Wave high to each other before he disengages. Only has a few builds to work with. Trying to be very, very picky when he uses them, but those are going to be 2 rightfully placed. Able to go in and outside of the box before he tries to make his way back in. Can't take too much damage through the zone. Out of builds. Vortex was in his line of sight. This is his chance to get a refresh, and he picks it up with ease.
More medkits get dropped. Is he going to be able to pick them back up as it's Queasy inside the zone? Is he going to look for some sort of flank? I'm not sure if Thomas is still up. No, he's gone down. Queasy now left as a solo, securing as many placements as possible.
Yep, last of the medkits. Now he has to make his way inward, and he does so with the quickness, trying to get to the front side so that way he can look back, try to defend himself, give himself options. Kiro is going to pick up a couple eliminations, but Pablo, the solo mastermind, still holding on strong. 6 elimination as a team with the lion's share going to him. A nice shot and a nice elimination for Pablo as he gets Merstash down.
He gets a knock. He gets an elimination. It's Merstash. That's up to 6 as Pablo hunts for more. Headhunter right now as Pablo's unstoppable with another onto Queasy.
That's 2 big teams, 2 Titans at the top of the leaderboard down, and this is his chance to overtake the first place. Another knock there onto Kiro, and he's bringing it back. 7 eliminations, looking for an 8th. It finally comes to an end, but he's done more than enough work to boost up the leaderboard.
Sangild, Marius down below. It's a 2 versus 2 against the duo up height. Dexy, Eclipse, they've been holding on since the first moving zone. All they need to do is close it out.
Yeah, they're running out of builds. Everything's going to come crashing down, but Eclipse gets dropped. Dexy trying to fight back, but the numbers game is just too much. Marius is able to stand up tall, take him down, and take the game.
Unable to finish it off, finishing in second, but Sangild, Marius securing the win, securing that victory royale. What an electric way to start game 1 of the Day 2 EU FNCS finals.
Yep, and throughout the course of that game, we saw first place go down, second place go down, 4th place go down, and then even 3rd eventually. And even though Pablo didn't win the game, he was in 5th place. I could only imagine what the leaderboards look like, but Marius and Sangild from the low ground, they chop them down like a great oak tree in the forest, and they put in work to take the game. I can only imagine where they're positioned on the leaderboard now that it's 1.5 times points.
Look, I've got a smile on my face, Jacob. I love to see these AIM games end in action. We haven't been seeing any heal-offs basically in the grand finals. It's been pure chaos, pure annihilation in the late game. But with the new format change for Day 2, there's going to be so many changes on the leaderboards, and there's only 3 people that can update us on that. So, Frankie, what you got?
I feel pressure now being one of the 3, but I'll try my best to uphold the reputation of the analyst desk with these 2 boys, Levin and Mini Miner. I love that high ground, low ground battle. And you know what? Low ground took it, Levin, and that's one of the first times this weekend I feel we've seen that.
Look, we are going to be talking all about Danish Fortnite players right now because the Danes were popping off in that lobby. A big, big dub for them. And of course, the dub for Marius.
And he wins.
It was rather obvious if you've been watching the action over the last month. In fact, if
A lot of players talk about, you don't want to fight this guy in creative. He's absolutely, Frankie said, right, doing it from a position that not many teams have managed to do it from. From this weekend.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, you talk close to their drop spot, easy to play that.
fun team going into game number 7 went out quite early. They got 2 eliminations, no placement points. I'm scanning it now, trying to see Vidil and Reason, and they are in number 6. They have dropped 5 places. I guess I'm quite surprised, to be honest. Maybe they need a bit more of a warm-up, Levin?
Well, I mean, they were rolling the dice quite a lot yesterday when it came to being uber aggressive, and it was paying off, right? You roll the dice a couple times, you're going to roll not in your favor. And so I think that was a situation last game where that happened. To be honest, I'm just impressed by Pablo Wingo and Bevies from that game. Pablo's clutch. Oh my goodness, man. That guy was going crazy, Mini. Every time I thought, okay, he's done now, right? Danish Fortnite taking dubs. This guy was going crazy. I think Takata called him the headshot hunter or something like that. He was, oh my, it was mad.
Yeah, there was just so many bold plays at this point, which is exactly what you need to do when you're a solo in this particular point. And we know exactly what Pablo and Bevies do. And it seems like the narrative that we just keep talking about, it's just that they're inconsistent. But you can see if they're able to do this more often than not today, this could be our FNCS champions. We could be looking at a potential FNCS champion after a season to forget almost for this duo when it comes to off-spawn contestation, early storm surge problems. But it seems like it's all coming together now, right at the perfect moment.
Dare I say it, boys, but the way that Pablo was running through those layers, it really reminded me of Veno, and the way that Veno likes to play those endgame clutch situations when he's on his own. He is literally take no prisoners, just take all the names you can get, Levin.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll give Pablo's props. He's someone who has shown he can pop off in the past, right? I think it's funny, Minnie, because, you know, if Pablo and Bevy stay here and they win the FNCS, they'd be the first Danish players to ever win it. And I mean, it would be, I mean, Thomas HD, I think would probably be crying inside if that happened. But I do want to talk about Thomas because we saw a really interesting play, and it's something that we've seen a lot from teams this season. And what a lot of the players have been calling it, they've been calling it crash pad bombing. Because what you do, right, is you line up a team, you know a team somewhere, and you set up the crash pad so you land perfectly on them, and you do this. And I mean, I was freaking out when this was happening. And Minnie and Frankie were both freaking out. And I mean, how could you not? It's really interesting. A lot of players have been doing this because if you're the players on the receiving end of that, you actually don't hear that team coming. Like, you literally don't see it or hear it coming at all. And so it's like a really crazy surprise play. We've not seen much of it on screen, but I'm glad we got to see it once because a couple teams have been playing around with it. Obviously, Thomas combined it with the Flowberry Fizz, which was nice. It gave him a bit extra distance. But yeah, Queasy and Thomas still are going to be a threat today for sure.
Yeah, and it's exactly the type of player that you want on the other end of that Flowberry crash pad, right? You want it to be Thomas HD getting into that bush, not only just seeing the team in there, you're also hitting a max damage, 173, whatever that was, then connecting with the assault rifle shots, hitting double headshots on the next player. That was absolutely spectacular. And we talked about how good Thomas HD is and has been this season in that duo. So although that game wasn't necessarily the best for them, even though it was a nice zone for them, I'm expecting big things from this duo because when you got someone on your team that can pull that out of the hat, anything can happen.
The more Danish players, the better. I do want to propose something though, boys. Can we call that move the baby bouncer? Because they're on the junior crash pad.
No, we're not.
So like you grab your baby bouncer and you bounce into the...
Should we just call it the Flowberry crash pad?
Or the baby boomer, you jump on the baby crash pad and then you
can do it without the Flowberry. People do it without the Flowberry as well. You can just do it with the crash pad. If you line it up and you sprint jump, it's like 190 meters, it still works. So, yeah.
Do we need a name for it? Can it just be crash pad onto someone's head, into max damage pump, into elimination?
Baby boomer.
If you want to say that every time, Minnie, feel free to say that every
You
time.
jump on the baby, and then you boom
I don't wanna jump on
shakalaka
babies,
into
Frankie.
their faces, just
I
like
don't want to jump on
we
babies. I'm
boom
good.
shakalaka into ring. Game number 8. Take it away, Jacob and Takata, please.
Look, that was a whole lot of yapping, Jacob. But what I'm interested in is game 2 of the EU FNCS Grand Finals. Explosive start to the day. Pablo, I mean, Headhunter, what did we witness in that late game?
We witnessed somebody steal the show. Ended up in a 3rd place from 5th to 1st after that huge solo clutch. If any time is to look back at a moment and say that is why he won FNCS, that's a big if, don't want to curse him too early. That is the moment right there. Will we have more clutches with the next game ready? We'll see.
You said it, Jacob. Pablo Bevy's 1st place on the leaderboard now. Merstash Malabuka in 2nd. Queasy Thomas HD in 3rd. As now instantly right back into the action.
I feel like every single game today, we might have a different 1st place team. I feel like that's the trend. The 1.5 points with how well everyone's playing. It's not just one team playing well. Everyone is playing lights out in this competition. So you got to think fights like this, no matter how well you did in that last game for Queasy Thomas, are never going to come easy. And we're even seeing the ballistic shield coming out from Thomas. Doesn't have any close range, so it could be the play for him, especially with Queasy going down off spawn.
Thomas needs to get ballistic here, but he's unable to. Eliminated off spawn, off the drop. From 3rd place on the leaderboard to now 0 points in game 2. Levin was talking about it, Minnie. Could Pablo Bevies be the first? One of the first, I mean, Danish players to secure an FNCS title before Thomas HD, with his history of the most top 10s, 7 top 3s yet to get that FNCS. That would be a script and a half.
Definitely would kind of be a huge treat. Just like this. Opportunity here to see the replay of Mongrel and Savage. We saw this highly contested fight 6 out of 6 games throughout the day yesterday, and Savage taking the fight to them, breaking through. Give Mongrel and him a nice opportunity to play this game out.
Now, yesterday we did say there was 3 duos contesting fencing fields. However, it seems they don't really take those early engagements, unlike Tina and Misha. Sorry. It looks like they're gonna right off the bat eliminate Skydune. Quick 6 points. And his duo Shakoth now on the run.
Yeah, and I would say typically Teeny and Misha are trying to chase it down, but I don't see crash pads, I don't see grapple blades. Even with a few Flowberry Fizz in his inventory, you kind of don't want to waste those when you can't really close the distance. So great awareness of the situation for Teeny and Misha to just disengage, continue looting up, grab the resources, let those eliminations come to you later on. You don't want to risk it for just those 6 points, Takata. There's 100 points up for grabs for placement alone. You needed that. You needed about 10 elims with a win yesterday just to score 100 points. Now it's just that much easier.
It really is. And for Ping and Mixin, we're up on the snowy hill now. They do have that launch pad that they can use to maximize efficiency on their loot path. But it's all about preparation. As look at that, his duo partner now jumped on. Instant need for assistance. Ping manages to get the knock. It's on Nathan. CZZ gets sniped as well. The 2v1 continues.
Yeah, Mixin Pings, they were at the top of the leaderboard for most of the day yesterday as well. And you can see why these great scenarios that they're putting themselves in, especially with that sniper in the hands of Mixin. And we've seen it. We talked about Thomas. We talked about Venno. There's a lot of good snipers going under the radar this season, and this is a great opportunity to highlight those snipers.
I mean, they're devastating. You can think of players, Benno, Thomas HD, King, any of these players with a sniper in hand, turns them into the Reaper. One shot is all it takes to turn the, not just tables around, it could turn your whole game around. As Vico, Pink, Kiro, Kiduo, once again, the battle continues.
This time around, they're at least able to get one, kind of toss it back in their favor. And even though they're battling it out yesterday, it was back and forth, back and forth. Nobody really able to find their stride between the two teams, even third parties interrupting it at one point or another. Pink and Vico on the hunt. Kiro's gonna get spotted out. Shield's gonna get dropped. Pink almost getting dropped himself with a trade, but Kiro's finally gonna go down, which gives it all over to Pink and Vico, and possibly the forecast tower as well once they make their way over.
Look, that's 1-1 for day 2. Kiro Kiduo took the battle in the last match, but the question is, the players in the surrounding areas, they're looking at the feed, they know this engagement's going on, and they might use that information to try and take the forecast tower from them. So hopefully Pink and Vico will be able to claim that, as they did come out on top in the fight. But we'll take a look at another one going on here. Cringe and Noms kind of scouting out what's going on down here by the reboot van. It's Arya and Low-Keyed, Robin Madax. But so far they're just kind of, you know, chilling in their own boxes. Nothing happening yet. Both crouched. Maybe they're trying to like fake them out, pretend they've already left, but it's gonna be a long time before anything happens there. Reason for deal though, not a great game 1, not a great start to day 2, and if Reason gets knocked down here, it could be devastating.
Huge flank third party by Andalex and Sato, and immediately look at the minimap. They got their Surge trying to disengaging. Mox, Lazen are there as well. Everybody just trying to rotate on out, maybe even follow the train towards the zone. We haven't necessarily seen it on stream, but throughout the day yesterday, there have been teams using that train to rotate in as deep to the center of the zone as possible. And we're really seeing things and a lot of the tricks come out as Yanis Flixie going against Pink and Vico. They saw the fight in the feed and they're ready to end it in favor of themselves. Vico dropped down to just a sliver of HP, and the persistence is there from Flixie. He even has the card. He's just trying to make his way in to capture it. But I think Pink and Vico are doing a good job of defending the terminal.
This is exactly what we talked about. Yanis and Flixie capitalizing on knowing that Pink and Vico just came out of an engagement, are most likely not that healthy, might not even be around the forecast tower, which is why they were able to get that card. But the thing is, they're not the only duo that's interested. You saw Tayson as well. Benno kind of saying, do we join this party? We weren't invited, but we might be able to sneak in, as Yanis and Flixie quickly see the danger and decide, you know, we've already got the tower. It's been secured. We don't need those eliminations. We don't need to risk anything else.
That's just literally quick thinking by Yanis and Flixie to be able to see that in the feed and then rotate straight on over to take control before Pink and Vico can actually get back on over there from their contested fight. And this is something that we've seen out of Yanis and Flixie, the ability to adapt on the fly. Flixie even getting his first VR in the finals lobby. They're just upward trajectory from there. They just need to have that solid performance here today to really cap it all off. And for Yanis, that'll be another FNCS champion. For Flixie, it's finally being able to put some respect on his name.
Benno now looking to see what has gone wrong in this forecast battle, trying to see if he can maybe find a bit more information. He does have 32 shots inside of that Reaper sniper rifle in the chamber, ready to let loose. But so far, unable to see much. They're just going to continue with the rotate. Almost max materials. Good loadout already with mobility and 3 big pots.
Almost looked like their original plan there was kind of disrupt that forecast tower fight, but too many players already did just that. I saw it in the feed. Production read my mind. Bevis goes down. Pablo's gotten a feeling of deja vu. I'm a solo yet again. And it's Marius and Sangil, the same team made it towards the end, won that last game, and was a huge part in making sure Pablo did go down, but it does look like he's going to be able to escape for now. Nobody's hot on the chase just yet, but he has to be careful because he is on the edge of zone. Teams are beginning to rotate in that direction. You see 2 already on the mini-map, a 3rd following the train, so Pablo has to really think outside of the box of when and where he's going to go back for Bevy's reboot card, because we know 100%. I can almost give you a Jacob guarantee that we'll see Bevy's back in this game sooner or later.
Look, I'm gonna ride your boat. I got the confidence as well, especially from what we saw in the last match. Tino, Chapix. I don't know if this is gonna be a full-on engagement, Jacob, but it could just be, actually, as Teeny going straight onto Chapix, cracking him. Only left with white HP. Tino as well gets knocked. Upper hand now for Misha and Teeny. The 2v1. Will they be able to close it out? They do.
Wow, Chapix went for the repeat. I can see what he's thinking in his mind. You know, they're going ahead, getting that elimination onto my teammates, scrounging up the loot. I can at least get 1 freebie, but he gets denied that opportunity. Free trip back to the lobby. Veno Tayson. A fight that I thought they were going to take a little bit early on towards the forecast tower. Now happening towards Grand Glacier. They don't like the positioning, so Tace and Veno immediately disengage. Not too far off, though, just to give themselves the advantage in terms of elevation. So that way they can really kind of get the information, if any players are around them, to figure out, is this something they want to take? Do they want to hold their position? Or maybe even rotate on out?
Yeah, looks like, especially in these grand finals, you don't want to take too many risks. You want to wait till you have a high chance of coming out on top in whatever risky scenario you want to get yourself into. I do feel bad for Pink and Vico, though. They just can't stop. Whether it's the off-spawn engagement from Kiro and Kiduo to the third parties that come in after, trying to take their forecast tower. I mean, they've been having some really difficult early to mid games. And we know the potential they have in those late games. I drop a Nebs, though, looking to do a bit of damage as they look for those angles on it. Looks to be Aqua and his duo partner.
Quickly trying to take some high, but Aqua is just hot on the chase, and high ground isn't going to come that easy. Lands a little bit of a shot. Not too much to scare down iDrop just yet. But any advantage is better than no advantage. Noah, Aqua, this is their chance to disengage. Especially with Noah just dropping down to 38 shield. Only has 5 left on the Flowberry Fizz, so it isn't a ton to get him back up. So it's very, very important that they figure out a way in towards zone, because not only they're traveling parallel to the team that were just fighting, but there's a whole team playing gatekeeper on top of that forecast tower. And it's going to be hard for Aqua and Noah to rotate their way in, so interesting to see what decision they make. I know if they keep going towards the east, they might be able to use the line of sight of the mountain to their advantage.
3 bullets in the chamber. All it takes is 1. Can Aqua connect that headshot that they might so desperately need, with Noah already being incredibly low on shield? Not much to recuperate. Walks Pixie, connecting 1. These snipes can be incredibly beneficial in terms of getting that damage you need for the Storm Surge threshold. If you have that ammunition to spare, the extra sniper bullets to help you take more of those shots, it could be the game-changing factor of getting enough damage.
Yeah, huge blessing that Hari was able to kind of go back to that cache that was literally just 2 boxes behind. So nice damage in terms of the sniper, but not really going to be able to notice it on the next rotation. Now that he's going to get all shielded up. Vidal Reason in a tough spot not too long ago. Finally able to kind of bounce back. Now they set their eyes on the Seti and Cammy, but they know at least one of these players is weak, and they're attacking from 2 different angles. Vidal just trying to go straight in from the low ground. Reason working his way from the top to bottom. Finally, they reunite, and they're able to get 1. Cammy gets dropped down, leaving Seti by himself. The struggles for our global invitational champions continue.
Seti put into panic now as he's forced into the 1 versus 2. But it looks like Reason isn't done yet. It's Mongrel close by that wants to escape, but he's been cracked now. Just gonna take 2 more shots, 2 big ones from that frenzy to finish it off, as now nowhere to run, nowhere to escape. And that's another Elim on the board for Vidal and Reason.
Yeah, 6 more points, starting to pick up the pace. Game 7 of the overall tournament, which was game 1 on the day. a little bit of a misstep, and sometimes, especially with 1.5 points, that one misstep is all it takes to cost you that first place spot. So they really are gonna have to dig deep and make up for it. Marius Sandguild, top of Loot Island, along with one other team, but you can see they're trying to just loot up, scrap together as much as they can. It's actually Phaser and King who are gonna get credit for capturing the Rift Island. No points, but they're gonna be the ones to scavenge all that loot that they just were able to get.
Didn't have the best start to day one. But if I know anything about King, he can turn things around, especially with the sniper in hand. For Pablo, though, has been unable to pick up bevies yet. He is still looking healthy, but the clock's ticking. 30 seconds until this fourth zone closes and fifth appears. And with two duos in a battle in front of him, he might find an opportunity to take that snipe, get that headshot, but he's unable to connect the first bullet.
Hey, persistence is key. He does have the 3 medkits as well, but this is vital information because there's only X amount of teams still left in this lobby, 36 overall, him being one of them. And with the rotations coming out, if he was able to get the reboot card, he could outlast the zone, get Bevies back in, because I predicted Bevies to be back. I thought he'd be back by now, but Pablo just leaving us in suspense a little bit longer, trying to go for a couple more snipes, but crash padding as Darky and Darkest to make their way on out. And finally, Pablo sets his eyes on that reboot.
Said it's time. Brings his duo back in. It's difficult though, Jacob. Grand finals, lobby, 400 metal to work with, barely any wood or brick, and now having to rotate in, having to loot up his duo partner. I believe he did have 3 medkits and 3 big pots, so they have a decent amount of consumables, but they will be used to get bevies back into the game. They're going to need a refresh early on, but anything's possible as we look right back at Fadil and Reason.
Traveling on the congested side of zone. Swizzy, Putrix, the ones directly in their line of sight. But you can see in the minimap, so many teams littered around this same rotation, trying to find their way in. In a couple of seconds, zone's going to force them in anyway. As Swizzy and Putrix still trying to get the last of the shots before they make their rotation on out. And it's not too far of a rotation for a lot of these teams. But when you're rotating parallel with a lot of them, that's where it gets disastrous. As Pablo, Bevies finally up. They have the high ground, but they're down on Surge. But with everybody rotating, this is a great chance for them to pick up some shots here.
One shot, Jacob. One shot is all it takes. And there it is, 116 from Pablo. This should be enough to bring him above, 62 above now. It's not going to be enough for the rest of the match, but it's going to be enough to hold on here just a bit longer. Only a shotgun and sniper in hand, as I assume Bevies has taken the AR. Medkits being split up, ammunition being split up as they continue now to hunt for another shot.
They're doing just enough to stay ahead of the curve. 62 above, but Veno, Tayson under pressure. Noah, Aqua gonna be the ones on the other side. Out of zone, no HP. Veno gets dropped again. It's gonna put a lot of pressure on Tayson. Medkit getting canceled. Noah goes in, but he gets sent right back on out, leaving Aqua by himself. But Tayson is running out of time. This is a 2. He gets it off to try to keep himself alive, but Aqua is still knocking on the door on the other side. He finally is disengaged. I think they realize this is almost a no-win scenario for both of these teams if they don't get out. And he actually goes down. The medallion gets dropped. Aqua, Noah are out.
With a sliver of HP, literally 1 for Tayson. He gets the medkit off in time, and with that, out heals Aqua to finish him off. But now with Veno being eliminated, Tayson being outside of the zone, he has a launch pad he can use to get back in. Not even sure if he has time to loot up Aqua. Let's see what happened to Bevies and Pablo, though.
All right, so Pablo's already down. Just a much-needed elimination. You said it as well, kind of when it was happening, even though Bevies is back, they're going to need a refresh. Look at his loot. If he doesn't have ammo, he doesn't have materials, using all of his heals. Pablo, lucky enough, before going down, was able to kind of gather up enough shots with Surge. But now he has to return the favor and have a big solo clutch opportunity. Unless he pulls a Malabuka and tries for the reboot a second time.
I was gonna say, we saw it happen in the semifinals. And I believe it was actually in the late game, Merstash picked up Malabuka and they almost traded themselves, leaving him as a solo to finish it until he picked him back up again. But that's gonna be difficult here for Bevies. He is 231 above though. No minis, 11 wood, 1 build. This is really something where you need a miracle, a blessing to come out of.
Yeah, he's just trying to rotate, get next to a team, but not too close to where they're going to push him. He needs to make himself kind of look like a duo, because if they spot him out as a solo, they're going to go. Cade, Diox fighting towards the backside of the zone, getting smushed further and further back, but they're actually going to get granted the zone as the next one does pull over in their direction. Nice opportunity for Bevies to hit a shot, but he is just in shambles, getting ping-ponged around the lobby, not really able to decide what he wants to do at almost any given moment. Oh, man.
3 builds now, all metal. If that duo that took shots pursues him, it could be the end of Bevies. Tayson, though, 30 below. No duo partner to help him with damage. It's all up to him. One of the Fortnite goats. Is he able to do it? Surge just gets the better of him. As now Bevies, 197 above, 14 HP, 2 builds, and a dream.
14 HP. All you need to do is at least have 1 HP. Be able to stay alive. Common sense. He's just outside the edge of zone as well, but he can immediately go back in. You see a lot of the builds that are going to be recyclable for a situation like this. It's all about what happens after, because you see him down low, kind of in a trench between 2 of the biggest mountains in the zone right now. If it pulls to either one, that's what I'm going to continue to get a little scared for Bevies, but one team needs to go down, and he'll at least start to collect those placement points.
Buka looking to see if he can connect the shot here. AR in hand, hits 2, hits 3. 1 more needed to get the knock on Pixie, but it helps with the damage. Now, 27 above, 94 with the hits. Can they hold on, though? Just 19 seconds left until this zone closes.
Buka and Mustache, they don't really have to do much. They're not the highest elevation, but they do have the natural mountain behind them. So lessens the chance of somebody being able to break into the box, but mixing pings a whole different side of that Storm Surge threshold. Not going to be a ton, but 34 below. Not very many opportunities there as we look at an opportunity here. Bevies. Oh my gosh! The Reaper Sniper, no scope, not no quick scope at close range. Talk about getting back into the game. Bevies has finally done it. And with the massive solo clutch the game prior by Pablo, this is his chance to return the favor. And now Pablo won't be able to hold it over his head if they win.
Bevies inventing new words with that headshot snipe. 3 now on the board. Will this be history once again? A solo clutch. He has the damage from that headshot. He has the loot, and now back up 120 builds. More than enough materials to clutch it out. Only thing you could even ask for is a bit of shields, but there is potential to make something happen.
And this is perfect situation in terms of zone. It's a far pull for everybody in the lobby, so there's not going to be great and too many opportunities for people to just sit back, camp, wait for zone, and try to target out a solo like Bevies. He just needs another one of these far pulls. He'll be A-okay as the rest of the lobby finally makes their way in. Placement points being gathered with every team that goes down. Oh, but Bevies goes down himself. That's Vico who went in, but Pink got lost along the way. So another solo opportunity in the form of Pinko coming up soon.
Let's see how it happened. Bevies even built 4 boxes. It seemed to be the safer play, but with his roof, his cone replaced, he did go down. Ping Mixon, though, 4 elims on the board. Just like that, an extra 24 points going into this end game. 3 medkits to work with, 3 bigs. They're already ahead of zone as well. They can't even recuperate what they've used here. Question is, what do they want? Do they want to elevate themselves more? What layer are they playing for? So far, I'm trying to see as well who might be peaking for that high ground. It is 9th zone. It's the first moving, and it commences.
Yeah, what they're doing, you can see it. Peeking through the cone, gathering information, but gives them flexibility and options. Do I stagger myself? Do I continue to stay towards the front side? Depending on what they see here is going to give them that answer. As Mustache fumbling, bumbling a little bit, trying to make it on over to Malibuka as players cut off his path with the grapple blade, but no harm, no foul, able to reunite into the same box. Voco and Vortexers having to do the same thing, but 21 below the damage threshold. The quick fadeaway shot coming out from Voco is going to get him above, but he takes a shot himself, trying to reunite with Vortexers so that way they can try to heal up as best as he can.
Big pot getting put to good use. Vortex is Volko looking to continue strong. It's going to be Reason Vadil trying to make a comeback from that game one. They have the high ground. Can they hold on?
Question we're going to be asking ourselves. 364 above, but almost every game so far, no matter if it was early in the 9th zone, late in the 11th zone, somebody usually tries to threaten to take over that high ground, claim it for themselves. Mix in 195, plenty of builds to work with, but he is going to be a solo. Spots somebody right in front, quick reaction to turn around, and once again, grapple blade to the front side of the zone, being able to recycle some of these builds and save it for when he needs it most.
Mixon has to clutch it up. He has that mythic frenzy. He has a good amount of builds, even ahead of zone. With those 3 medkits, their dominance with 3 elims. Issue is they could use a bit more materials, but they're more than healthy for the rest of this zone.
Yeah, but this consistency is absolutely insane for Malabuka and Mustache. They're slowly but surely moving up the leaderboard, which is hard to say because they're already at the top of it. Started in 3rd place on the day, slowly but surely taking over other spots. Vortexer's lost Voco. You saw his shields get dropped not too long ago, so now Vortexer's left by himself, trying to grapple blade once more to the front side of the zone. Ends up almost getting boxed up, but it doesn't matter. Marius and Sangil, 2 shots are better than 1. Take him down.
Wanting to get the back-to-back VR as Vadil Reason still up strong above. Marius Sangil now trying to build up as this zone does pull towards a ridge. They cannot get trapped here. They need to elevate themselves as quickly as possible, but as all duos have the same plan in mind, they get trapped together on the journey up the hill. As his duo partner Sangil goes down, so does Marius.
Yeah, he tries to backtrack in his zone. That was 2 different teams that took part in eliminating that one. As Shari, Gear is trying to go ahead and get a flank on Andalex and Sato. So far, it's working to fruition, but they immediately drop down low. Find a shot on the Nev, but I think iDrop was able to scoop him up before the elimination actually went through, saving the loot for himself, but another traded shot going off. Hari is doing his best to go ahead and dominate the lobby, but he finds a med kit towards the backside. He's going to allow himself to stagger backside of zone.
It was Malabuka who got eliminated, as now zone pulling under the train tracks. iDrop using that as he builds close to one of the pillars, but with just 10 HP, he's forced to pop a med kit.
Yeah, a lot of these med kits coming out a little bit earlier than some would hope, but the trend for FNCS continues. Not too many heal off as Hari's just trying to get some extra points, but he gets shut down from the high ground. Andalex, Sato look towards the back. They find out Art Skill. Another couple eliminations going to be grabbed, and they position themselves in the top 3.
5 players up, 3 duos. We still have Vadil and Reason up above. Cade is going to be the solo. Goes down to zone. The 2v2 height versus low as Reason drops in. Cracks 1, unable to get the knock. Vadil now forced as a solo.
He still has the medkits. He gets it canceled, though, by a threat to try to jump up. Second one going off. It's also going to be canceled. He drops down onto Andalex. Sato was already down. Vadil has woken up from his slumber after day 1 to awaken here.
Business from a rough game 1 after dominating day 1, finishing in 1st place.
A day 2 poeni, jebi ga, ne smo čovjek s njegem. Tu mora budeš tankom bukvalno.
Mongrel i dalje 44. Chris 42. Kenny Vaske 36.
It was rather obvious if you've been watching the action over the last month. It was rather obvious if you
Far too early to where points like this, a win like this.
On je kučevit kao, oh nice, nice bro. Ovo je srećan, ovaj pokaže se sreću. Ovaj, nice bro, clutch this. Znaš, nervira me, blokaću ga, kunem ti se u život, ali ne znam da gledam uopšte. Kao, nice. Moram low kick da mu lupim na blacklistu da ga šiknem, ono.
It was rather. We've had.
Like the cast is said, you know, this games they had yesterday, and it was like a
It was rather
Oh, is that our drop, bro? Oh.
Need to jump, like, I'll let you know. Like in the middle of lavish, we need to jump. 3, 2, 1, go. I don't know, but we need to look behind up now. Sorry.
Yeah, I know.
Remember to scout actually for your driver, like, on scout for the
Yeah. I think. Yeah, are you gonna go for that chest?
I'm going to the
Okay,
chest.
I'm going under here. I've best.
There's an AR here. I got a sniper on the fucking chest.
Okay. What? Nice. Oh. Drop on there.
Sniper for my chest.
How did the fuck did this guy even get
bro? I
here?
get a sniper for my chest.
Yeah.
Oh, if I fucking hit that second shot, man. That actually triggers me. Oh, what's this RNG, man?
Ne, es sind schon 5 gestorben. Der ist solo.
Der Mate kommt von oben. Der ist wahrscheinlich auf dem Berg gelandet.
Also, Mate ist weit. Na, Smell ist far behind. Hab Grappler und Sniper instant aus der ersten Chest. Ja, zu spät. Ich kann maybe gucken, ob ich... Na! Okay. 110!
Nice. Das reicht schon, das reicht
Und
schon.
ist ein Bot. Das ist ein Bot, der komisch aussah. Zu Bot, von meinen. vem pet.
What better spot here for you?
Ja.
Neem me niet mee.
Ja, doe maar. Ik heb 1 pit. Wat doe je zo?
Ben ik allemaal dat ik ruim is?
Ja, hoor eens. Wat is het voor die? Kijk maar auf den oben, auf mijn.
Nein, Hauptsnipen. Scheiße die. Wir haben eine Route, Bro. Wir müssen gut das machen, einfach.
That are looking like they can take it home.
What I like about Reason and Vidia over here towards Snooty Steps, typically you see a lot of teams kind of just battle it out for the mythic, for the medallion, without too many cares in the world. They kind of play it by ear. They let those opportunities come to them. It looks like the George looking for Vasquez. They finally drop down. They're going to find him. No more hide and seek. It's all about finishing the job, and that one's going to come through easy. Just stuck on the side of a mountain. And then Vasquez are going to be no more here in this lobby, which kind of opens up a possible forecast tower, because more times than not, it was them that were going for it.
And that forecast tower can be crucial for making sure you safely make it to the late game, having that vision of the upcoming zones before your competitors. Reason and Vidil just continuing with their planned out loot path, as they know they do have some players close by. However, the
Crash pads. It's going to be the most important things that they're looking for. Rotation, mixing pings. Almost looks like they're trying to cut off a loot path, hide on a chest. Marius and Sangil got to be careful. It's no longer just a trick coming out from Misha and Teeny. Everybody really taking note and trying to add some sort of that strategy to their game plan. Will it work, though? And they sense it. They sense something's up. Nothing's easy. They try to go ahead and 2v1 pings on the other side. Marius go ahead and adds a huge flank and a couple of shots. Going to allow his teammate Sangil to get out almost unscathed.
it does not work, as Ping and Mixed from hiding now to on their knees, knocked down, using that sniper rifle to maximize damage. As the 2v1, Mixon now put into panic. He needs to make something happen in this duel.
It's a nice first shot being fired. He's trying to finish it off. Back to back.
Oh,
Great attempt from Mixon. Unfortunately, the 2v1 Sandguild really firing the defining shot to take him down, but he was putting in work, whittling down his opponents, chipping him down one shot at a time. Fortunately enough, he has to kind of watch the rest of this game out on the sidelines. Malibuka and Merstad.
Dobro, znam situaciju. Šta sam ja, sam ja prso, bre? Ovo je dala rezon 460. Holy shit, alo. Holy shit. Holy shit, brat.
that are looking like they can take it home.
What I like
There's always something you want to do. And let's take a look at here at the, let's say,
Might have made a world of
always-
difference.
It's always the what ifs, Jacob. It's always the what ifs.
For candies and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
And the happy holidays. Marius and Sangild with 4 on the board. On the train tracks, this, I believe, where the last game did end. As we look at Volko Vortexers, you said it yourself, Jacob. First victory royale in an FNCS finals yesterday. They've been getting to the late game, especially in the first match, but not yet able to secure another win.
Uh-oh. Sapphire gets a knock on the Veno in the feed. And even gets the cleanup. That's not the best situation for them to be in, especially with a comeback opportunity. Now, I even saw Veno after one of those games talking about taking back control. Just watch. You got to imagine, probably with a statement like that, maybe getting a little aggressive, because you know as well as I do, one of their biggest problems throughout this FNCS is how they're handling Surge in these set lobbies, which not necessarily been going their way, and they've been kind of having to really dig deep, put themselves into risky situations just to find that Surge. And I got to imagine that has to be another one.
You can see Tayson has been left alone. Veno knocked out of the match. Once again, another solo we're following. Who's in the top of the leaderboard? They have dropped down, you can see, though, to 10th place with 326 points. But we said it recently, one big match is what they need. They got it in the last game of day 1. And anything's possible here in day 2.
Gotta be able to have mental toughness. It's a marathon. It's not just a race across the finish line. Got to be able to stay composed. And one thing I learned, you know, even though we do have those special cases, but not everything in an FNCS will go your way. And you got to be able to handle when things kind of go wrong and be able to bounce back. Can't just mentally give up. And you see iDrops by himself, trying to remain tough in a situation just like this. And it doesn't necessarily scare me too much. I've seen iDrop clutch in some of the biggest moments, including this FNCS, just to make it to this stage. As Veno gets Tayson, or Tayson gets Veno back into the game. But there is going to be another team ready to pounce. They're trying to take him down, and Veno gets dropped just as fast as he got rebooted back into the game, which leaves Tayson by himself. Lazen and Lox are going to be the team trying to disrupt and really try to stop the credible FNCS run between Tayson and Veno. Tayson doing a good job of fighting back. Brings Lazen down to just a sliver of shield. Full HP, though, is buying himself even more time with each shot that gets fired.
An emergency for Tayson, put into crisis, as now he's in the 1v2. It looks like the opponents almost want to force out this engagement. With the shots coming from Tayson, they look a little scared, as they're not being completely aggressive here. Has the time to recuperate his shield with that Flowberry Fizz. Zone gets closer and closer now, as there's just 22 seconds left. Grapple Blade will be put to good use. iDrop is going to be another player close by. So many things can go wrong here.
He got the cheeky elimination on the Veno. Even though he doesn't get credit, he was able to not only loot it up, get just a couple more shots for his overall Storm Surge. Tayson sneaks in, grabs Veno's card, and is immediately trying to disengage on out and go for reboot.
Ist er mad, glaube ich, ist er mad.
Er would come.
Alex. There's a wall, there's a wall.
Chef tank the difference.
Kan je schrik kommt.
Oh my god.
Beautiful.
Need to focus Surge.
Lass das so. Ja.
Carries would come. There will for sure be rifts in this zone, by the way, because they're all low ground, and I don't think people are sitting on them as much because they need Surge.
Ja. I have 3 crash pads and 95 fists, by the way.
Crash pads.
Ja, da war kein Grapple.
Big. Ja, big.
Mhm.
Ich, Digga, sag doch.
You not have
Oh.
grapple, Reason?
Yeah, he has no grapple. That's fine.
No grapple, yeah?
Wait,
Ja.
das ist gut.
Ja.
Das ist perfekt, Digga.
Ja, ist echt gut.
Weil die werden uns richtig abfucken hier in Norden.
Sehr
Oh
gut.
mein Gott.
Schöne, Digga.
Ja, ehrlich schön. Kannst du so hochbauen, eins?
Eins so eine Base oder?
Ja, nach außen,
Echt?
ja, dass ich so Cash spenden kann.
Ja, und was?
Aber auch, dass ich so schauen kann. Geh
Da
mal weg.
vorne, ich sehe einen Rift, NO.
Ja. Warte, ich glaube, die sind gegangen von uns. Oder auch nicht, Digga.
Nehmen uns den Leute, gib mal die Korn, bitte. SO.
Ich will den Baum kaputt schießen. Wir müssen schnell machen, Bro.
Ja, okay. Schieß. Nicht so. Mach andere Way. Mach die. Ich habe.
Ich glaube, es reicht auch nur einfach nur ein Crash mit ohne Fist.
Ne, wir sollten mit Fest machen einfach.
Ja, okay, wir müssen rein einfach irgendwo.
Ja.
Okay, mach, Fist.
Ja, warte, ich krieg maybe einen Headshot. So ein Snipe. Okay, scheiß drauf, für uns nicht. Ich Fist. 66
60
Waffe noch.
Ja. Crash
Ich bin
Die
auf
sind
dem...
drifted. Ja, ich bin an dir. Ich glaub, Rift mal.
Ja, ich glaube auch.
Achte Buff. Weit weg auf den Insel?
Nee.
Müssen
You
wir
can
welche
fist
sein.
that in, I don't know.
Ich lande auf Insel.
Ja,
There's
ich auch.
people in here.
Da sind Leute, beim Crashpad.
Ja.
Chill, ich kann mich reinziehen. Die jumpen auf mich.
Ich komm.
Oh, ich wollte almost jump down. Da ist jemand gerade. Der Fist.
Warte, ich schau mal around, maybe. Search. Is it below?
Below.
Der ist on me, ne? Der ist unter
Ja,
mir.
dann, ich geh auf die anderen zwei bei der Flagge.
Dann hat jemand einen Riesentab. Ist Ray?
Weiß
Ich wurde von hinten gepumpt. Ich werd gefightet. Ich brauch Hilfe. Ich brauch Hilfe.
One Search.
Ja.
Der!
100 auf einen! Wir sind fein. Wir sind fein. 150 waren es sogar.
Komm,
Ja. Du bist der beste Spieler der Welt. Ich blase dir ein, wenn wir das gewinnen, ne?
Good shit. You're fucking crazy.
Alles gut.
150 auf den... Warte, ich... Oh, ne, alles gut, Mann. Soll ich Grappler oder... Ich hab 5 Crashpads. Soll ich... Ich glaube,
What's zone like?
Wir werden jizzen, also...
I mean, crash pads are very good in this zone, I can't lie, but
Ja.
do what you want.
I think I dropped my sniper. No?
Warte mal. Wir gehen zum
You
Pad.
need search still, but...
Ja,
Kommst du Pad rüber, okay?
ja, fuck it,
Drop
I've
deinen-
just
drop deinen
anyways. Ja, ich drop meinen Grappler.
Okay, ich jizz dann hier. Und dann pennen wir.
Ah, die müssen halt erstmal gehen.
Ja. Wir können auf Storm hängen, ich hab 3 Dynamics jetzt.
Die gehen.
Die gehen, komm.
24? Mach.
Komm.
Ja, mach.
Jetzt auf Pad einfach.
Ja. Wir hätten warten sollen, um Leute anzuschließen sollen. Wir können
Nein.
durchgehen.
Wir müssen durchfliegen, Bro.
Ja.
Ich werde angeschossen, du musst links.
Ja, ich weiß.
Über diese Base.
Ja, ich flieg mehr links.
So bin ich nicht.
Pass auf, da sind auch
space a
Leute.
bit. Come space a bit.
Ja.
Der will
Der wird Headshot-Type! Die gehen da rauf, oder? Ja, die gehen da rauf.
Aber Research, oder nicht?
Ja, eigentlich schon. Warte, geh auf den Solo!
So.
Ich grapple auf den.
Ja.
18, 38.
Okay, anderes Team chase.
Okay.
30?
Chill, wir können aber trotzdem. Chill.
Ja.
100. Chill.
Ja, nice.
Willst du
Okay,
hier Chill, ich kann gleich einsprayen.
Ich bin hier an der Wand, komm.
Ja, ich nehme alles. Hab alles. Raus. Ich hab alles.
Bin tot. Gefallen.
Ja.
So, wir müssen links, ganz jetzt, geh links, grabbel schon mal links.
Ich hab kein Grapple, ich hab Crashpads.
Achso,
Komm.
Just
Komm.
go up the east and then crash pad.
Komm, ja.
bis.
Ja, komm. Oh, sorry.
Bruder.
Achso, das ist
Bis.
Ja.
Ich hab keine Eier, Bro. Warte.
Oh. Du kannst da nicht nochmal rein, Digga.
Ich hab.
Okay.
There's a grapple down there if you want as well.
Na, fuck the Grapple, I think.
Don't run over
Mach,
the top
mach.
cone.
Guck mal.
Mark.
Ja, einfach hier.
Na, okay.
Ich kann die Reaper.
Pass auf, Bro. Maybe sind hier Leute. Maybe, trotzdem.
Obvious
Just
nicht
wait
weg.
for a reason. Just wait for a reason.
Pass auf, Turret.
You crash pad again. Just cap your
Yeah.
good here fast.
Yeah.
Careful.
I'm
I
at
need 50, I need 50.
You still need damage though for
Yeah.
moving.
I don't know, I hit so many, like, I got like 300 damage.
immer Search.
Yeah, but you still need for moving.
Wollen wir kurz warten?
Wir müssen jetzt hier Crashpad langsam. Auf dem Berg da
Don't
am
show
besten.
yourself to the lobby. Crash pad from here. Yeah, okay, whatever.
I need to, I think. I don't wanna
Here
get
you go.
broken.
Mach.
Ja, ich hab noch 3.
Ja, mach.
Don't run over the top of the cone with you.
Komm. Ja, das ist perfekt, das ist perfekt, das ist
Ja, ja, ja.
perfekt.
Nice.
Bein.
110,
Nice.
110, 110.
Big.
Ich bin, lass kurz Match splitten.
Ja.
Das ist der beste Spieler.
Digga, wir sind beide die besten Spieler. Hör mal bei Dick zu sacken, du Hurensohn. Was haben wir mit denen gemacht? Let's go, Lennart Silvais. Wir gewinnen nochmal, Digga. Es ist so free, Bro. Es ist so free.
Wir gewinnen die Runde.
No, focus up now.
Ja, I'm focused, Bro. I'm calm.
Ja, brief.
Wenn Zone Südosten pullt, do we go Insta? Southwest?
We'll see.
Wir
werden
push.
gekillt.
Ja. Mach rechts.
Der Mal.
Wir tot in der Box. 100 auf den linken. Nein.
Nein, Digga. Nein, Bro.
Zu früh gefreut. Digga. Das kann nicht sein. Das nicht ausgebaut oder?
This is very impactful for this duo. I mean, the only ones you can see Astral Art Skill kind of in the zone there. But they should just be able to almost walk in here. They might even wait a little bit so that the other duos begin their rotate and the focus gets onto them before using the crash pad here. They are going to pop the Flowberry though. Crash pad's going to go down. They're going to take the rotate early and have the option to look back at the duos rotating in. You can even slide up this hill here. They might just be the most elevated duo as the quick scope comes through, unable to connect the headshot, but that's still a big tag.
I was just laughing to myself momentarily. As soon as they got the crash pad off, you see that team just immediately close up their boxes. They don't want to be susceptible to any sort of sneaky plays or even it's somebody trying to slide right in. That's Lunex and Monier, the ones who took a huge sniper shot from Reason. Really second guess any peeks coming through as we jump on board Pablo and Bevy. At one point or another today, Pablo had stolen the show, but with the hiccups in that last game, they get stolen right back by Reason and Vadil. This is their chance now that they're a full duo. Placement points starting to click in. That they can really show the potential in which they've been working on all season long.
Storm Surge is active. You see the Nodi now as players are rushed to do a bit of damage. They need to make something happen if they don't have enough. But for Reason and Vadil, a push came through, took out Art Skill, and it went down. Our #1 team eliminated once again before the late game even starts.
With just scraps of points gathered up until that point. Very little placement. Not a ton in terms of eliminations. So again, the trend of teams at the top of the leaderboard has the potential to change hands. They were only 27 points ahead of Malibuca and Mustache to start this game off. A couple more placements alone is going to have them overtaking first place, let alone any eliminations they're able to gather.
A huge opportunity for this duo. Mustache has a title alongside Tayson, but Malibuca is looking to get his first. Will this be enough to put them in the first place spot? The grapple comes through. They have an incredible amount of damage, elevating themselves to a more secure layer. But they cannot get picked off here.
Yeah, we're going over this bridge. You don't want to be stuck underneath. At least when it starts with the moving zones, it might be fine for now. CZB on the other side, along with his teammate Nathan, really don't have any shields. Thomas Queasy, 220 above the threshold. Just gathering all this information. They spot this player out, and they know that he's weak, and it looks like they're going to try to drop him in. That's Robin. He lost his duo Manax not too long ago, and now he loses himself. He goes down. Great opportunity from Queasy and Veno, or Queasy and Thomas, excuse me, there to find that elimination.
Bevy's Pablo, the Elim onto Nathan, as they are all the way down below here. Rotates will have to come through. It's 9th zone now, first moving coming to a close. A majority of the duos already on the moving side, but it's Swizzy and Putrick that are in the clouds. We've seen throughout these matches that the duos to hold on from first zone are almost able to maintain it the whole rate through the end game. Can they do it once again?
Only time will tell, because we know there's a couple of those teams still alive here in this lobby. Especially the ones with snipers. And Bevy just gets targeted out. Multiple teams, left, right, and center. Malabuka and Mustache doing the brunt of that damage, continuing the pressure. They don't want to let these eliminations go for free, but Pablo is going to be able to skip on by with the Flowberry Fizz combined with the Crash Pad. Bevies and him got separated. Finally reunite, though, with just a sliver of HP. These guys never seemingly going down without a fight. You can never count them out.
Pressure is on as they're 132 below. Flowberry Fizz gonna be popped for that mobility boost. Big pot coming through, but Bevies needs a med kit. It's dropped now as they need to keep rotating.
80 below. Storm Surge going to begin to do damage for this team. They have to figure out where they're going to get the damage. 23, 40, 80, constantly ping-pong up and down the damage threshold. A couple of those heals are coming out. Only a couple more players do need to go down before Storm Surge does deactivate. Great play and example for that as Diox gets the target towards the backside. Damage has been dealt, but Storm Surge turns off. Pablo and Bevy still need some sort of a refresh to heal up, and Diox is going to be the one in their line of sights, hot on the heels, but he changes layers to try to get out. He's trying to plan a great escape here.
Pablo needs to be the initiator here. He does have more HP and shield. His duo partner now needs to regroup. There we go. They're together. They're surviving zone, but with 0 builds to work with, they popped their last big pot, and they need to make something happen.
Yep, all they have left. Meanwhile, Smooth Sailing, Swizzy, Putrix still have to be careful, though, because I saw Thomas Queasy going up a few layers. Those are the ones who might take high ground, but Pablo gets dropped. Bevies gets taken down. Dexy with a 2v1. That's how you score 12 points in the late game.
The back-to-back is Malabuka. Once again, left as a solo. 505 points on the board, looking to overtake the throne. 2 medkits in the inventory. He's gonna pop 1. He does have 28 builds. 2 options now. Go ahead with the materials or stay again in the zone. Another medkit. As Queasy and Thomas, they retook height.
I knew it. The moment I saw them moving up a couple of those layers, they want to go ahead and try to close out this game. You have to be careful, though. We've seen them in this position before, yesterday to be exact, and they were taken down by a well-placed snipe shot. Thomas overstretching to get those opportunities. Will they make that same mistake? Marius and Sandguild, and this team, they already have a win today, and it was Sandguild's first win in an FNCS Finals lobby, and they're looking to mimic that here.
Not only that, 8 eliminations. They want double digits. They're hungry for more. Just 8 duos up as Astral gets taken down. Double edit comes through. It's Pink. It's Vico as Marius continues taking shots. He's just 1 more away from getting the knock on Pink, and he gets it. Both players still up. They continue from low ground.
That was a big find to keep themselves moving forward. 9 eliminations, almost into the double digits, but you have to go against the kings of Lavish Layer. Thomas and Queasy as he drops in. He finds out Pixie on the hunt for another. Pink and Vico are now fully out of lobby as Vico gets taken down. Thomas continues to drop down, but it's not enough. He finally meets his maker. Marius and Sangil take him out, and they're trying to go for their second VR of the day as they inch themselves into the Final 4.
Can they do it? It's Queasy up top. He has a med kit. The question is, how many? Sandguild now forced to play in the zone. Marius looking to cause disruption. It's Sandguild that has 1 more med kit. And Queasy up above, continuing with the heal off.
Yeah, Sapfire's there as well. Basically a solo FNCS for this end game, all coming down to a heal off. Queasy grapple blades to the front side of the zone. Can only imagine what he found. Sandguild now has to go on the hunt. The last of his heals are going to be used. Only a few seconds left, but he finds another med kit. No chance to use it. Queasy and Thomas take the game.
That is a massive win for this duo. They were dropped down to 8th place from going off spawn to now securing the victory royale and bumping themselves right back to where they came from.
Playing their roles to perfection. Thomas dropping down, causing so much chaos, so much commotion to find those eliminations and pick up opportunities for Queasy to go unscathed on that high ground. Even with him starting the heal off before zone fully closed, they did more than enough damage and found more than enough heals to make this game look easy.
Queasy looking to secure his 4th FNCS title. Thomas HD trying to get his first. The most consistent player yet to take home an FNCS. You know they want it more than ever.
It's going to be the greatest chance. There was kind of the final moments. Grapple blading to the front side of the zone. Almost even threading the needle in terms of when he popped it. You saw him go down to about 16 or so HP. But once again, Thomas and Queasy really rise up, and something we noticed throughout game 1, throughout game 2, first place, the teams at the top of the leaderboard are falling rather early, so another chance for a team to take over first place. But have they done enough? Frankie, Levin, Minnie, let us know.
Thank you very much.